Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the returning Dharma school students, and welcome to those who are here for the first time. And today, I'd like to give a short message for children, and then longer message for the adults. And I will not dismiss the children, so they still have to listen to the adult talk. But this way, I can focus on children first, and then later to adults, right? So today is special Ohigan service, and Ohigan is observed twice a year around the equinox. And do you know what day the equinox this year is? Nobody pays attention to the calendar, huh? So equinox is September 22nd this year. And do you know what happens on the day of the equinox? So the length of the time and the day and night will be exactly the same, okay? So I could say that this is the day of the balance, right? Balance. You know the scale. To bring the balance to the scale, we need to put same amount of the weight on both sides. Length of the day and the night is same length, which means equinox is one of the days in the year, which is well balanced. So don't try this right now, but you can try this later. But when we stand up and when you stand with one leg, if we put too much weight on the left side, then we lose balance, right? And if we put too much weight on right side, we lose the balance too. So how to bring balance to our body? That is to try to stay in the middle, right? So this is the idea of Shakyamuni Buddha's middle path, middle way. Avoid the extreme idea and take the middle way. So to bring the balance in our daily lives, we need to think not only about ourselves, but others' feelings too. When we quarrel with families and friends, we need to think about their feelings too. So, Ohigan is the time of the year of balance. So, please keep this in your mind and remember to have the balance at school, at home, and at the temple, okay? So let's close children's talk with Gassho and Nembutsu. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. And now I will make you put your palms together again. But I like to share the words of Rengyo Shogin, who is the eighth head priest of our tradition. And this is from the saying of Rengyo Shogin. So please join me in Gassho again. 人の悪きことはよくよく見ゆるなり、我が身の悪きことは覚えざるなりと。Easy to see the faults of others, but hard to recognize the faults of our own. ナモアミダ仏。ナモアミダ仏。Namo Amida Butsu. Nammanda Butsu. Nam. Good morning again, everyone. And now I am enjoying that the morning starting to be cooler. Days are still warm, but I like the cool morning. And I feel like the fall is approaching. By the way, do you know why it is called the season of the fall? I can just guess, but leaves fall on the ground around this time of the season, right? people fall in love with the color of the leaves. Many people fall asleep during my Dharma talk, right? Maybe it's year-round thing, so I cannot say this is a season thing, but that's what I think as what the fall means. But today is fall Ohigan, and since my former temple, Oregon Buddhist Temple, did not have guest speakers for Ohigan services, I had to give 2 Ohigan messages every year. So, I hope we are able to have some guest ministers from next year so that, Reverend Matt and I don't have to talk about Ohigan all the time, right? But I think we only have 2 times of the Ohigan a year. So let me start from explaining about Ohigan briefly. And Ohigan is usually observed around spring and fall equinox. And generally, Ohigan is observed for 7 days. Not only the day of the equinox, but also 3 days before and 3 days later the equinox. So Nishi Honganji is our home temple, or head temple in Kyoto. They are observing the Ohigan service from September 20th and through 26th. And Ohigan literally means the other shore, and Higan is the opposite idea or concept of Shigan, which means this shore. And the other shore is the Pure Land of Amida, Nirvana, the realm of enlightenment. And Shigan, this shore, is the world of delusion and suffering. So, since today is the first time to talk about Ohigan here at the Sacramento Betsu-in, I'd like to give you more general information about Ohigan. And according to the general idea of Ohigan, we remember about the ancestors on the day of the equinox, who were the significant part of karma of our lives. On the other 6 days, we practice the 6 paramitas. And according to Jodo Shinshu teaching, our teaching, 6 paramitas already had been accomplished by Bodhisattva Dharmakara, or Amida Buddha, for us to attain enlightenment. So it is not necessarily for us to practice 6 paramitas for our attainment of enlightenment. But one of the Chinese Pure Land masters named Shantao from 7th century, he said, Gaku Butsu Dai Hishin, learn the Buddha's great compassionate mind. Learn the Buddha's great compassionate mind. And the first Chinese character, Gaku, means to learn. And it could also mean to imitate, okay, imitate. So trying to follow the 6 paramitas actually make us think of the hardship of which Bodhisattva Dharmakara went through. This is a little bit off topic, but usually Buddha's hair is like, I don't know if you can see it, so this is kind of different picture. So Buddha's hair is like this, usually, right? But there is a statue of Bodhisattva Dharmakara in long time of the practice. And this statue is in Kyoto, Konkai Komyoji. I think Konkai Komyoji is the temple's name, like this. So every time I see this picture of Bodhisattva Dharmakara in a long time of the practice, I remember about him. Billy Preston, who played piano for the famous Beatles song, Let It Be, right? Right? So this statue is not, imitating Billy Preston, but it actually expressing how long time it took for Bodhisattva Dharmakara to accomplish practices. And through realizing the hardship of Bodhisattva Dharmakara, we realize how deep-rooted our afflictions are. So there is no way for me that I can accomplish the 6 paramitas by myself, but through the Namo Amida Butsu. Through Namo Amida Butsu, we receive the virtues of the 6 paramitas. And through Namo Amida Butsu, I am always reminded of what Bodhisattva Dharmakara went through. So now, there is a collection of the words of Shakyamuni Buddha titled Dhammapada, and which means the word of truth. Dhammapada means the word of truth. And this is a compilation of the word of Shakyamuni Buddha. And let me share one of the words with you from there. Shakyamuni Buddha said, overcome the anger by non-anger, overcome the wicked by goodness, overcome the miser by generosity, overcome the liar by truth. Okay? And 6 paramitas are dana means generosity, giving of oneself, or selfless giving. And sila, virtue, morality, discipline, proper conduct. Kshanti, patience, endurance, acceptance. Virya means effort. Dhyana means contemplation. And prajna means wisdom. So paramita could be mean perfection or reach to the other shore. So in general Mahayana Buddhism, perfection of the paramitas were considered as the act of reaching to the other shore. So to overcome anger, we need kshanti or patience. To overcome the wicked, we need sila or virtue or morality. And to overcome the miser, we need dana. And to overcome the liar, we need prajna, wisdom. But dhyana, that is contemplation, and virya, that is effort, these two could be, for anything, including in everything. So when we get angry, our point of view gets narrower and narrower, and we focus on I, my, me, mine, and me, right? But what I think is that to widen the viewpoint to they, them, their, and theirs, or we as ours. That is the practice of 6 paramitas. So the balance means not attaching to ourselves, but to think about the others. So our founder, Shinran Shungin, really respected one of the prince of Japan named Prince Shotoku, Prince Shotoku made 17 article constitution based on the Buddhism teaching. And this is one of my favorite words of Prince Shotoku. So you might hear this many times in my talk, but he said, keep your mind without wrath and don't show anger at your face. Do not get anger, even if others differ from you. Everyone has his heart and opinion. He's right, maybe you're wrong. You're right, maybe he's wrong. You are not necessarily a sage. He is not necessarily a fool. All of us are mediocre people who can distinguish right from wrong without fail. All of us are wise and full, like a ring has no end. Therefore, if others get anger, think about your error. Even if you have a firm opinion, listen to others' opinion carefully. So I think that I'm flexible as water, but according to my wife, Namiko, I'm obstinate as rock. Right? And I can say same thing to Namiko too, but when I reflect on this myself, maybe I'm obstinate, right? When I decided to do something, I will do it, although Namiko said no. And we haven't argued for a long time, but I remember that when we argue, starting from tiny things, but then my mind changes to, I don't want to lose, right? I don't want to lose the argument. So this is my obstinacy and eager to surpass the others, right? So in other words, I am focusing on me and me. So maybe I should tell this, but although I'm obstinate, that is always my turn to say, I'm sorry, right, to Namiko. And many wise men in different temples told me that magical word for the husband to have is, yes, dear, right? So we tend to think that I'm right, but as Prince Shotoku said, my right may be you're wrong, and your right might be my wrong, right? And as Rengyo Shongin said, it is hard to recognize our own faults. So we need to stop for a moment and make a time for self-reflection. So before we hurt somebody, we need to stop and think about others' feelings. And looks like Yukawa sensei shared this poem with you before in the past. But one of the poet, Mitsuo Aida, wrote a poem titled Setomono, Crockery. So let me share this poem at last. 瀬戸物と瀬戸物とぶつかりっこすると壊れてしまう。どちらか柔らかければ大丈夫。柔らかい心を持ちましょう。If we crash crockery and crockery, both of them will be broken. But both of them will be okay if either one of crockery is soft. Let us have soft and flexible mind. So we are all same human beings. We all have heart, and our right may be somebody's wrong for, So if we throw only our feelings to the others, we crush each other. So through listening to the Dharma, we should nurture our mind of caring, understanding, and respect. Okay? So thank you all for coming to today's Ohigan service. And in closing, please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. Easy to see the faults of others, but hard to recognize the faults of our own. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman. Before I conclude my message, and I forgot to tell this is an announcement, but is anybody interested in learning Chinese martial arts or Kung Fu? Please let me know. This is for kids. I asked my shifu, instructor, if she's interested in teaching the younger kids. And I have been learning this style of Chinese martial arts for 8 years. And then I was wondering if we can bring in more younger folks to temple through this activity. So hopefully somebody shows interest. If you want to see what kind of style my Kung Fu is, we use a lot of kicks. Actually, Chinese martial arts started from the temple, right? Shaolin Temple. And Shaolin Temple is a Zen temple, but, many Joro Shinshu ministers practice martial arts too. Have you ever seen Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon? This is probably from 3 years ago, so I was still 40, and I could jump a little bit higher back then. Yeah. But anyway, so this is the style of Kung Fu called Eagle Claw. Thank you. Then please let me know if you are interested in learning so that we can try to our office staff and probably coordinate with Mari Matsuda, who is the sports director of Sacramento Betsin, and we try to find a date we can have kids class at the Kaikan. So yeah, thank you.